Okay, so let us all start with the way we always start, which is to unite us together since we're all in different locations. And let us do this unity procedure by doing 3 ohms together. And remember to always do it with your heart. You know, if you just do it with your voice, it's not enough. You want to feel it way deep inside so that the resonance is actually moving through you. And that vibration creates a type of cleansing in our minds, our hearts, and our bodies. And it does unify each of us today. So let us begin with 3 ohms. Ah, I love that feeling, that vibratory feeling of peace. That's really what we want, and that's what spirituality gives us. It's the spirituality truly is the practice of peace, the practice of love, but it results in peace, peace in our minds, our hearts, and our bodies. And then that way, if you have all this peace inside of yourself, you get to share it with others in conversations and your actions, wherever it is that you go, you have enough so that whatever goes on in your world, no matter who you meet with, no matter what circumstances you come up against, you have this tool with you where you can always practice peace, always by breathing long and slow, by chanting peace, peace, peace. All of these things will keep you safe from the thoughts of other people, the intrusiveness of the world. We want to let it move through us. We don't want to trap it inside of us. So, the word that we've been meditating on throughout the month of July was the word purity. This is a really important word when it comes to a spiritual practice because everything that we do starts out with a start, right? So you want to have a good start in anything that you're doing. Good start to your day, a good start to a new project, a good start in a relationship. You always want a good start so you feel strong. You feel confident about putting one foot in front of the other. You know, if you kind of wobble up to the starting line, it might make you turn around. So you want to have this strength of purpose. So we want to purify, learn to purify our sense of purpose, our intentions. What is it that you're intending to do? Because if you're like coming up to the starting line, you're like, I'm going to show them. There's really not a lot of purity in there. So what you want to do is always ask yourself, how can I have purity for this beginning? You don't want to put on dirty clothes when you go someplace. You want to put on clean clothes. So everything, every conversation that you start, every project, every work day, everything, you want to start out feeling clean inside. You know, if you're having a disagreement with someone at your workspace or wherever you are, and you know you're going to see them that day, and your mind is grumbling on your way to work or on your way to Zoom, however you work, you know, you don't want to like just let that be so it grows on its own. You want to pay attention to yourself and you want to go, I'm not getting off to the best start here. I'm full of, you know. So you just want to observe it. You don't have to give yourself heck about it. You just have to observe it and go, oh yeah, look at me going here. Where you feel irritated even with yourself, you know, it's just irritating. So that's not the best way to start your day, because if you start irritated, you know what's going to happen is if anybody else comes in and starts to irritate you, it's going to escalate and escalate. And before you know it, someone's going to get all of that you've been escalating to. So we have to be careful. So purity is a lot more than maybe what we think. It sounds like sort of like purity. That's kind of a boring word. It's not a boring word at all. It's necessary for everything that you begin, no matter what it is. Even when you're going to go to sleep at night, If you go to sleep with a mind filled with all kinds of, we'll say dirt, but you understand what I mean. If you go try to lay down and your mind is already doing this, and it's like a washing machine, you know, all agitated and everything going on in there, you think you're going to have a beautiful sleep? Probably not. Doesn't mean you won't sleep, but it won't be as beautiful as you would have liked for it to be. So even starting your adventure into sleep, you want to ask yourself, you can say the word purity or clean. You want to be able to remove the day from your mind. Because if you try to go to sleep with your mind filled with agitation, like I said, it's not the best idea. You know, if you're going to have an important conversation with someone and you're totally agitated, it's going to be very difficult. And remember, the other person will pick up your agitation and then they too become agitated. Now, before you know it, now we have two agitations. Eventually, you're going to go like that. So at least you want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt of really starting everything that you do in the purest way that you possibly can. If you're going to cook, for yourself or for your family, that you want to have the same beginning. You know, you want to do some sort of prayer internally. You can do it externally too, but many people are in situations where that they don't feel comfortable with that. So, okay. So you do it internally. So before you eat something, you always want to do some sort of a purification. Really, the best purification there is let's say you're eating a sweet potato. The best thing to do is just ask that it be blessed, that the impurities within it are removed to nourish your mind, heart, and body. This really can be so basic. It's important that you cultivate your own words. I give you these examples, but it's very important that you make your spiritual practice completely your own. You can go to all kinds of churches and they'll teach you all kinds of things, but don't feel that you're bound to it. They have traditions that they're going to adhere to, and that's good because then they can pass it along to other people, other generations. But don't feel bound to it. If you feel bound, then you feel guilty. And if you feel guilty, it's like you're doing something wrong. Guilt is for if you feel like you're doing something wrong. And you know how I feel about guilt. I'm not like a big guilt person. I don't like that feeling at all. And if it worked, like I said, I'd encourage you all to feel guilty every day. And you've never heard me say that. So, so what I'm saying is you never want to feel guilty about saying a prayer. Is this the right way? Or I didn't say it. Oh no, I'm bad. No, 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 no. Never, ever say you're bad. Because the more you say that you're bad, then that's impure, that's contamination. Remember that that's the saboteur of purity. We contaminate who we are. We contaminate our conversations, our friendships by thinking we're bad. Because if you think you're bad, you're going to look at the other person and go, wait a minute, they're probably more bad than I am. It makes us suspicious and it makes us want to, let them know how bad they are. So what we want to do is not be in this judgmental place. Judgment, being judgy, is one of the easiest ways to contaminate ourself, to contaminate anything that we're doing. Now, to be able to have ethical criticism is good. Ethical, not judgy, not to make yourself feel superior. Who cares if you're here and they're there? That's just today. If you keep up with your judginess, they're going to be here and you're going to go down. So, best not to be looking to see who's on top. It doesn't really matter. Tomorrow it could flip. So the thing is purity helps us to remember that that's where you want to put your eyes. You want to put them inward and ask yourself, is this the best I can do right now? Can I step up a little bit more in this situation that's difficult? Because sometimes we think the best way to solve a situation is to punish, bring the wrath down on the other person, really make them feel how oppositional you are to how they're living. And gosh, has that worked? I do believe we have superpowers right now trying to show each other that. And we could all pay the price of that for what a few individuals are thinking in terms of, I'll show you who has the most power. That's contamination. So pure raw power can hurt. Raw power needs to be delicately taught to become spiritual empowerment. To be empowered means that you're living by spiritual principles. Anybody has power. We all have power. The computer has power. Sometimes I struggle turning it on. Everything has power. But as human beings, we want to not focus on having more power because that can lead to contamination very easily, because raw power isn't necessarily even related to what empowerment can do. If everybody works on empowerment, then we will be teaching purity to one another. If we teach children at a very young age to feel empowered in themselves, then we're teaching them how to be kind. Kindness is amazingly empowering. If you lose your sense of kindness, you no longer are so empowered. Now what you find yourself doing is thinking that everybody is mean. The world is mean and it's awful and everything's terrible, almost like everybody but you. Could that be true? Only I am not bad? And you know, I just don't think it's good for us to think in terms of badness. Who's the worst? Let's stand up a few individuals and decide who's the worst. Does that make the world a better place because now they have the title of that person's the worst? No. No good can come from that. It's wasted conversation. So purity is all about discernment, really using the process of discernment, you know, being discerning of what kind of food you put into your body, what kind of thoughts do you put in your mind. It's so important. How clean are you from the inside out? That's the most important thing you want to ask yourself. We all want to have, clean food, clean this, clean that. But we need to think about cleanliness from an invisible perspective, in the sense of having a clean mind. So what does that mean? Does that mean that you could never say hell's bells again? No, it's not that easy. No, a clean mind has to do that you are cultivating the goodness within you. And remember, if I thought that goodness would make you weak and wimpy, it would be wrong of me to talk to you about it, because you would become weak and wimpy. There's no point. Purity, the practice of purity, it scrubs the dross, it scrubs the stuff through the day that's really icky, the contamination, it scrubs it off so that it shines, you shine, your mind shines. If you work on purity within yourself, you're going to be working on peace. So how can you work on purity? Well, you know me, I like to talk about traffic. It's a big part of my life. How pure are your thoughts in the car? How pure are your thoughts in the car? What are you thinking? What are you thinking about those other drivers? Are you thinking, oh, look at that heavenly driver over there. Wow, they drive so peacefully. Are you thinking those thoughts? It's probably like, get out of the way. What are you doing? There's all of these kinds of thoughts that are going on all the time. So it becomes a struggle. And people actually can have fights. It can escalate to such a point. So remember, we can only drive the way that we think. If you want to know how you're thinking, get in the car. Drive a couple miles on the freeway, see what's in your mind. See what level of patience that you have. Or go someplace where there's lots of people who maybe, they seem different from you. Walk around them. What are you thinking? Ooh, ick. Are you thinking that? You see, then you can see what's going on for you, what you have to work on, where you have to cleanse yourself. Because as you cleanse yourself, you're more empowered. You don't have your energy isn't just leaving you. When our energy gets contaminated, it's like an object covered in mud. My teacher used to say, you should be a clean mirror so it reflects perfectly. You don't want to be a mirror that's covered in rust and dust. Because if you're covered in rust and dust, that's how you perceive the world. And you see the world is really bad. It's just rusting out. It's horrible. All these people are horrible. And then you cannot now see the goodness. You cannot now not see the kindness. You just can't. Yeah, just a second here. So, okay, very good. Let us remember to always think good thoughts. Really, no matter what you're faced with, you want to help yourself to think good thoughts. You want to practice patience, because patience is inner strength. I say these things to you not as pretty words, but as energy. When all is said and done, you are energy. We all think that we have a body and a soul, but more importantly, that body and that soul is made up of energy. And energy can change all the time. And if you want to live a magical life, you start to learn that you are energy. A magical life is a life where you're able to bear things. You know, there's no reason to criticize one another. We have to be careful not to indulge in making fun of one another. Ever. It's really painful. There isn't a soul here that doesn't know that. That's contamination. We have to be really careful of our thoughts, because you will never be able to say a single word that you didn't think first. You'll never be able to drive a car the way that you want to. You'll only be able to drive a car the way that you think. And if you think with dark, contaminated thoughts, that's the way you're going to drive. That's the way you're going to walk through the world. That's going to be the way that your eyes land upon another person. And you know what? That'll return back to you. And you'll have to deal with it by somebody else doing that. But you're only in charge of yourself. We are not in charge of others. We're not in charge of changing people, making people different. We're not in charge of telling them that they're bad and that they're wrong. No, that's contamination. Every time you tell somebody how horrible they are, or how ridiculous they are, or how stupid they are, you are contaminating that person's heart. Now they have to work to overcome it, because now they are hurt. Now they think bad about themselves. Now they have to overcome it. Be very careful about telling somebody that they're bad, that they're wrong. We have to be so careful not to humiliate other people. Right? That's contamination. You see what I'm talking about? And it'll deplete you. It'll take your energy away. It'll take your ability to be able to actually work with purity away. So purity is this place where you can rise above something. Sometimes, like if I'm having a disagreement with somebody and I know that it can't be healed immediately, it can't be healed through a particular conversation right away, because sometimes that happens because it gets heated, it gets hot, and you know that you can't like really touch it right now. It's like touching a flame. You know, that's not a good thing to do. Even though you feel like it, you want to touch it, you know, you want to go into it. I'm going to call him up. I'm going to text him. I'm going to do this. That's an impulse, because we've all done this so much that now it's an impulse to do it. We don't have that self-control. That's contamination. It's got so deep inside of us that it's running us around. So we don't want to be impulsive, because by the time we get to be impulsive, and we are impulsive, and if we act on our impulsivities enough, it becomes compulsive. Now it's happening on its own. We don't even have to consciously think about it. So we don't want to have compulsively bad behavior. But the more that you actually are more aware of your mind, aware that you have self-control, the ability to have self-control, to practice it, to practice self-discipline, you are going to end your day before you go to sleep going, the day is done. And now I get to rest. Rather than looking at your bed and going, oh boy, now I get to toss and turn. Oh, I wonder if I'm going to get some rest for 2 hours. Remember, you don't want to pass out at night. And I'm not talking about substances. That can be included, but that's not what I'm talking about. If I were talking about substances, it would be anger, frustration, pessimism, fear, jealousy, revenge. All of these things contaminate the mind, so that when you look at your bed, all you can think of is you're just going to pass out. And then what happens is you wake up because you didn't fall asleep. We want to fall asleep in a way that brings us peace. That's what sleep is designed for. Don't you think it's interesting? Don't you ever think about how interesting it is that at any given moment, half the people on the planet are asleep? I mean, really, isn't that interesting? Half the people on the planet right now are dreaming. They're unconscious. They're not speaking. They're re-energizing themselves. They're like your computer being plugged in. They're getting recharged. Half the people on the planet right now are going through that, while the other half of us are doing this right now. It's interesting to think about what's going on, because our world is constantly turning, right? Constantly turning all the time. And it's so interesting. We don't think about, this is another day. We're just like, okay, here I am. What am I going to do today? Take me to your leader. You know, we have to help ourselves to really cultivate more joy, because we wait for someone to give joy to us. Oh, I want to hang out with him or with her because they're really happy. Do you want to be a vampire and just, live off of their joy? Come on, no. You want to see a joyous person and know that you can still contribute to them, because you're a joyous person too. And if you don't have enough joy, then pay attention to what you see over there, not in so much as judging, but just feeling that joy that's emanating from that person. And as you feel that joy, then it helps you to mirror that joy. If you notice their anger and their frustration, and they're telling you about how frustrated they are and how all of this is, and you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you walk away and you meet somebody else, and then you're like this. Well, you see what we're mirroring to one another. So I only showed these things to you in exaggeration so that you can see it. I am exaggerating the motions, of course, so that you could see it. What we want to do is understand that purity is as necessary as cleaning our mouth every day. You don't leave the house without brushing your teeth. You just don't. You want to have, that if you don't, not only is it, a good thing for yourself and for others on that day, but if you don't, it gets contaminated. And contamination brings germs, because they like to live there. Germs and us, we don't always get along because we don't live in the same environment. So you don't want to make an environment for germs to live in. So what about your environment up here? What's growing in here? Germs? Germy thoughts? What's growing up here? What are you growing in your garden of your mind? Are you cleaning your thoughts out? Are you resting? Are you practicing resting? Are you practicing? I don't use this word very often because Well, sometimes it's controversial in the weirdest kind of way, but are you practicing forgiveness? Are you letting things go? So we all get on each other's nerves. I'm kind of quirky, so you can imagine how I can get on people's nerves pretty easily. But I don't change myself. I can become aware that I'm troubling somebody, and I lower my energy. I do that to protect myself as well as the other person so that we can continue to interact. You might think of that as me, giving in or something like that, but I don't see life as a contest. I'm not much for setting goals with full on ambition and rocketing across the universe. I just am not. If I were 20, I might want to, and that would be appropriate. But I'm 67, so I don't have all that going on inside of me right now. And honestly, it's one of the better parts of getting older, because now I feel like I want to cultivate myself inwardly. I don't have as many goals outwardly, and I don't feel like I have to climb anything. I feel now more like I know what's important, and what's important is how I wake up, how I live my day. How do I go to sleep and wake up again? What's going on inside of my heart? Because you know me, I don't think of myself as living one life. I think of myself as a continuum, that I've lived many, many, many lifetimes before, and I will continue to live many lifetimes, whether it's here in another dimension, wherever. I don't even begin to pretend I understand the nature of life. I know that, I can only understand a few seconds of a millennium. That's all I'm able to really grasp. Thank goodness I wouldn't want to blow up trying to understand all that stuff. We don't need to. What we need to understand is our naturalness. And we want everything to be pure. So look what's happened. We don't talk about purifying our minds. Not very often. We're doing it today, but how often do you have a conversation with other people about purifying our minds or purifying our emotions about something? It's usually about, and he said that, then I said that. We only talk about contamination. We don't talk about purity as much as we talk about contamination. Now, think about the air, because we're breathing in the air all the time. So we can see pollution, and you live close to the ocean, you can see it layered on the ocean, how it blows down from the north, it'll blow right across the horizon. So it gives you the illusion that it's just on the horizon. What an illusion. It's not just out there, it's everywhere. Now we're breathing that in. So we obviously see that as contamination. We see that's dirty, 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 dirty. Okay? But what is also there that is invisible is every thought that someone's thinking. And as you walk around your house, you walk outside, you walk around, you are not only experiencing a little cool breeze on you, a little pollution on you, you're experiencing the thoughts of other people, the words of other people. And I always tell you this when I use this as an example. If you turn on, well, I use the word radio, but if you turn on anything, you're listening to the news, you're listening to songs, you're listening to whatever you're listening to, remember, those sounds go into you and they become part of you. Now, those sounds live in the air. And I just proved it to you, because if you turn something on, where does it come from? We know they don't live. We know that the newscasters don't live in a little box. We know that there's nobody living inside my phone. No. But if I'm listening to something, it's in the air. So if I don't listen to it, I don't turn it on, it's still in the air. It's such an illusion to think that you're not being troubled by it. We say, turn that stuff off. Yes, turn it off, but it's still there. It's still there. So I'm saying that so that you remember to practice cleaning yourself up, because all of us are being contaminated by everybody's thoughts. That means your thoughts contaminate another person. See, we don't think that we do that. We're always thinking about, yeah, I got to keep myself clean from everybody else. But they have to clean themselves from us. Because as we walk around judgy, 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 they have to clean themselves from us. Right? So the thing is let's just forget all this judginess. At least help ourselves to reduce the judginess. Help ourselves to not always be thinking, oh, I can't believe this, I can't believe that. We all do it. I do it, you do it, we do it. The thing that I'm proclaiming today is let us understand that practicing reducing this is an excellent thing to do. It's an excellent thing to do. You know, I sit with a lot of people and, you know, during the week, and I'll see somebody that I can tell they just can't even be still, you know, and I may, you know, want to help them to be a little bit more still or practice some breathing. And I'll suggest, let's practice, and I'll give them a little thing about practicing breathing. And I am still to this day, it surprises me when someone will respond with, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time to breathe. No. Well, how the hell are you living? I mean, seriously. I'm sitting across from you and I see some breathing happening there. So if you don't think you have time for a practice of breathing, I don't really get that. That's really a bad habit. You need to breathe right now. Let's practice. All right, we want you on the planet. You're going to have to breathe. So I'm talking about breathing properly. Most of us breathe like we're stressed out. Yeah, stress, stress, stress. So because we're so contaminated with stress, it contaminates our breath because it's contamination from the air. Okay? Air, breathing, they're the same. Dirt lives in the air, not only in your lungs, but in your mind. We pollute the air with gross stuff, physical stuff, and with our thoughts. How do you make gross physical stuff? How do you make stuff that pollutes the air? It's from your mind. Every pollutant that's in the air, whether it's chemical or it's verbal, comes from human minds. So, contamination. So how do we purify that? Well, do you put peace out into the world? When's the last time you stood somewhere, anywhere, and you said, let there be peace, peace, peace? Really? Do we not have time for that? Anywhere you go, if you enter a building, why not say, let me enter this building with peace, 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 and let it move for me all throughout this building? So, do you think I do that? I do. Which is why I share it with you. It would be wrong for me to tell you these things or suggest these things to you, but this is my creative side. I want peace in my heart, so I want to create peace. So I create peace by wherever I go, I say peace, peace, peace. Let it begin with me and move outwardly. Let it begin with me and move outwardly. Because I'm breathing air into their space. Let it begin with me and breathe it out. Let it begin with me and move out. You have time to do something like that. You can do it like that. You can do it any way you want. But to be more conscious of setting this intention of peace in the world. You know, right now, people are competing with each other to be the worst. I'm the worst. I'm the most powerful. I make more people afraid than anybody. You know? Oh my goodness, goodness, goodness. Where is goodness? Don't catch it. It's in the air. thoughts in the air. These things are airborne like corona. Take care of yourself. You don't want to catch other people's anger. No, we want to practice purity. If you see somebody that's standing on the side of the road and they got a little sign, instead of being disturbed by it, send them peace. If you feel like it's not right to give them money, okay, give them peace. As you drive by them, in your heart, say, kindly give this person peace, 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 today, tomorrow, next week. Did it take anything from you? No. This is called seva. That's the Sanskrit word for service, selfless service. The way I've been taught in the yogic tradition is that the quickest way to feel God, see God, live with God is through service, selfless service to others. And people say, well, I don't have time for that. I have a family. Of course, but you have time to give them selfless service. And you're probably thinking, I already do. I do everything for them. But you see my attitude? Am I really doing everything for them? You see how I'm doing it? I'm doing it not in a way that's pure. And I'm not criticizing us. All I'm saying is be aware of it, because you're going to give it to them anyway. So if you know you're going to clean up a mess that somebody left, you can clean that mess up like, oh, I can't believe they did this. Now, after the mess is gone, the contamination of your words and what you were thinking is still there. So the physical mess is gone, but the energetic mess from your mind is still there. So why bother? Now it takes your energy away. When you leave a mess, it takes your energy away. So if you know that somebody made a mess and you're like, okay, this is the 100th time they've made this mess, catch yourself and go, okay, it is. And apparently I've been counting. Does that make me judgy? No, I'm not judgy, but I am being judgy. Catch yourself. Have some compassion for yourself and go, oh, yeah, okay, I see my part. So let me clean this physical mess up and clean up the mess in my mind at the same time. So you go ahead and you pick up the dishes and you go ahead and you scrub the counter there. And then you leave it with peace, peace, peace. You're going to do it anyway. Why not do it where you feel better? You don't want to walk away going, dang it, they're going to do it again tomorrow. Oh, good Lord, do you really want to live that way over a messy counter? No, but you know we do. You know we do. So all I'm saying is to remind you that we can update that. We update our computers, let's update this computer. We can do better. And as we do better, we feel better. We have more strength. We're not living in pollution. Even though we're living in pollution out here, the only way to change the world is to change yourself. And if you see the world as a dirty place, well, it kind of is right now. But that's because the individuals are all feeding dirty thoughts to one another. And now we're in competition of who could be dirtier. It's like, I'm much more bad than you are, which is dirty contamination. The only way to clean the world up is to clean yourself up. And what happens is that you start emanate more light. So if you clean yourself up, your aura gets bigger. It does. You emanate more light into the world. It's just like anything, if something is covered in dirt and you clean it off, it starts to have luminescence. So every day as you scrub your mind, because you have to do it every day, just like you have to brush your teeth every day, you have to scrub your mind every day. You have to pay attention because those pollutants get in there. They get in here and they get in here and they get in here. So every day you have to practice peace, peace, peace in your own way. You could say those 3 words. You could do whatever you need to do, but come to your own rescue. Clean yourself up. Help yourself to live with more purity because it won't take as much effort. If I leave the house covered in mud, it's going to be really hard for me to walk around all day, right? Because I'm carrying a load with me, a load of resentment, a load of victimization all the time. Everybody, making it hard for me, the good person. Why is everybody so bad? Oh, I'm exhausted even showing you that. So what I'm saying is, how many people, which is all of us really, want more energy? So we go straight to food looking for more energy, which is a good thing. You're looking for more energetic food, unless it's the Milky Way bar or something like that. That's probably not so good. But nevertheless, what I'm saying is we all want more energy. And one of the easiest ways to do it is to cultivate a practice of purity. So in the yogic tradition, they say everything that you do should start with purity. So, you want to have clean hands if you're going to handle food. You want to have a clean heart if you're going to be talking to a child. Everything that you do, you want to start with some level of purity, some level of cleanliness, because it makes the offering of you better. Everything that you do that you want to offer to someone else, you want it to be clean. Would you give somebody something that's dirty? Oh, here's my dirty Kleenex. I mean, come on. No, right? But we give them dirty thoughts. We give them dirty words. We give them dirty finger, right? Why? Now we're contaminated too, which means now we have more stuff on top of us. And now throughout the day, we can barely move and we can't wait to get in bed and pass out. We're not looking forward to getting into our bed and sleeping and dreaming and waking up refreshed. We all have sleep things. Sometimes some people have them many times. So I say this not because somebody's having a sleep situation is more contaminated than anybody else, because they're not. We all go through all kinds of things. I'm just using these examples so that you'll start to look at your life in perhaps a little bit of a different way and start to understand that spirituality is about every moment. Every moment. It's not just the moments that we spend together here on First Sundays, or if somebody goes to church or whatever it may be. How are you spending your time? What do you watch? What do you read? What do you think? What do you ponder? All these things matter, because that's going to determine how you speak, how you walk, how you interact with people in the world. It's how it will be your footprint when you leave this body. Your footprint, so to speak, of who you are, who you have been, is still here, and it's in the people that you leave behind. So this is how things can become generational. Whether you have children or you don't, how you are, how you think, how you contribute to your peers, when you leave this world, that is still imprinted on the world. So when you think you're nobody, it's just an illusion. If you think you're nobody and you keep telling everybody that you're nobody, then you're imprinting that I am nobody onto them too. You see how this goes? And please do never feel bad about these things that I say to you. Never feel like, oh my gosh, I do that. Yeah, so do I. Why do you think I'm talking about it? I would never present myself to you as I'm enlightened. Oh my gosh. Who could live with himself being an imposter? Obviously, some people can. We're not imposters. I say this because people will come to me and say, I feel like a fake. Pfft, you're the real deal. You're a human being. You're a human being, and you're helping yourself to wake up. We're all trying to wake up, because we come into this world and it's so overwhelming. It's so daunting. We don't even know why we're here. And the people that are around us don't even know why they're here, much less why we're here. So they can't even really help us sometimes. But the thing is that you have to find your way whether anybody helps you or not. And you can resent that and you can be like, nobody showed me. Nobody showed me. So what are you going to do? Carry that around with you? Because the only way you could say nobody showed me, it means that you became aware that there's a way to be that's better than the way you have been. So if you discover it yourself, don't ruin it by thinking that nobody showed you. You always had you. You never left your own side. You always have you. You must be your greatest champion. If you feel good about you, no matter what anybody else thinks, you're going to be okay. You're going to be all right. No matter what, you're going to be all right. And the imprint that you leave on those that love you or that are around you will be goodness. Because you'll show them, just because people are throwing mud balls at you, it doesn't mean that you become dirty. You can clean it off. You can breathe in peace. You can. You're a human being. You could do miraculous things. We just have to stop thinking about miraculous things are just big giant buildings or fantastic computers that take us all around the universe. Fantastic humans. We are our greatest commodity. The more we learn to take care of ourselves as an individual, we demonstrate that to other people by example. And that's what spirituality is about. We don't have to recruit people. Hey, come join Saints in Training. Come on, donate, do all this stuff. Come on, we can conquer the world together. Who needs conquering? You can join all kinds of things. We've joined here together. But we join together as individuals. We join together because we know that we're all looking to find a way with ourselves as individuals, and that unites us. You can never have unity if you don't respect individuality. Unity is a whole bunch of different ideas coming together. So if you respect individuality, that means you'll respect other people who seem to be thinking very differently than you. But you respect that their lifestyle, their minds, how they've lived has brought them to that place. No sense in thinking they're, pardon my language, but no sense in thinking they're stupid. Or they deserve bad things to happen to them because they're so stupid. Don't contaminate yourself in such a way. Help yourself to go, oh yeah, I am thinking that. I am thinking they're stupid. And I am thinking that, well, yeah, okay. Recognize it in yourself and go, oh, I am thinking that. Wow, they probably think I'm stupid. And they probably think that bad things should happen to me because I'm stupid. Holy cow. I'm just like the thing that I don't like. All you have to do is recognize that. You don't have to shame yourself. And that helps you to know you don't have to shame the other person. To shame yourself or to shame someone else is contamination. We're contaminating the peace. You see, you just have to become aware. You know me, I am not a fan of shaming. We know the right way, they're bad. No, we're human beings. We're all trying to find our way. And we didn't all have the same start, not only in this lifetime, but in any lifetime. We have to be easy with one another. Those who have a sense of spirituality, if you have a sense of spirituality inside of you, and you certainly wouldn't be joining us today if you didn't, we have a responsibility to be patient. Because we've been living a long time. And we've had a spark of understanding that life is so much bigger than ourselves. And it intrigues us. And it draws us to that. And we want to grow and we want more joy. And we know it's possible. And we know we can't get it at Target. You can get a little joy there. But we're looking for that deep and abiding joy that we can wake up with, that we can go through the day with and as we endure other people not even cultivating an ounce of joy, we don't lose our way. We want to have a practice that helps you to be able to stand even though your feet are walking through a swamp. You want to keep your head out of the swamp. We all walk through swamps just like we all breathe in pollution. There's nobody on the planet that isn't breathing in pollution. It's just too big now. It's everywhere. It's not only in the air, it's on our houses, it's in the soil from the air. It's in everything. So we're all breathing in pollution, but that doesn't mean we have to become polluted. The only way to beat pollution is to have clarity. So you know, one of the things that the yogis teach us, I'm going to finish it with this kind of imagery from the yogis. So they say that our soul, which is our eternal self, our soul is transparent. So we as human beings, we can't really see it because the soul's inside of our body right now. But our soul is transparent. So being transparent, it's like a glass of water. And if you put a red piece of paper behind a glass of water, it will look like the glass is red, right? So the soul takes on whatever it's around. So we have to be careful, because you may say, so it's right, I can't be around those bad people. But if you say in your mind, I can't be around those bad people because I'm a good person. Did you see me exaggerate so you could see that? That's judgy. What you want to do is go, whoa, their vibration and what they're into. Yeah, honestly, I can't sustain that. Let me walk away. Really? Rather than, they're so bad and I'm so pure. Really? Masters are so pure that they always walk amongst those that are hurting the most. If you were raised a Christian, you know that Jesus, he always walked around with people that were shunned from the society. He didn't hang around with all the rich people in nice bars. No, he hung out in leper colonies and with poverty. You see, purity makes you so strong that nothing can contaminate you ever again. If you don't practice purity, everything can contaminate you, and your mind is no longer your own. It belongs to the world, not to you. So you are responsible for the quality of your mind, no matter how many people around you are polluters. Because remember, you too pollute, you know? So we have to help ourselves because we want joy, because we want peace, because we want more energy at the end of the day, so that when we sleep, our soul is being energized. We're not fighting everybody that we talk to during the day that day. It's a time to absolutely forget that you're alive. Half the people on the planet right now are asleep. Isn't that nice? I tell you this because it's important for us to see how everything always changes, always changes. So when you meditate on the word purity, it brings quality into your life. It brings more integrity into your life. It brings more courage into your life. Remember that every being who is considered a master are pure. No contamination. Well, why would they show us that if it weren't possible? Do you think they're like, I'm pure, but you're not, ha ha ha? I'm pure, you can't ever achieve that, so yeah, you just keep telling me how good I am? No. They're saying, we are the same. My teacher in India one time told me, I had a private session with him with some other people. And he looked at me right in the eyes and he said to me, he said, do you know the only difference between you and I? And I'm thinking, wow, could I possibly know that? And he said, I know I am God and you do not. I know I am God and you do not. So he was telling me, you too could know this. Do I know what he's talking about? No. Intellectually, no. With my heart, yes. Because as I look at you guys, you're like me. We don't know we're God. But something inside us tells us that we are, because we're seekers. What do you think you're looking for? You're looking for you. But our mirrors have dust and rust on them. So when we look at the mirror, we don't see God. But the practice of purity, the practice of peace, helps us to see that we too are an aspect, a part of God. It's like it's like the universe is a giant puzzle and we're one of the pieces. And if you've ever put a puzzle together and you didn't have one of the pieces, how frustrating that is. Well, it will be found. Nobody will be left behind. So remember to practice purity. Help yourself to be settled. Help yourself to breathe in peace and to breathe out peace, because you know that the world is dirty, is polluted in many different ways. So breathe out peace, and I'm asking you to kindly send it out into the world. Send it anywhere you want. You can send it to particular places. You can just send it out to the world. Do whatever you want, but send it out, because every time you ask for peace or you practice peace, you have more than you need in that moment. Send it out. Peace will replace itself. Love will replace itself. You'll never be empty if you practice giving it away. If you keep it to yourself, you'll start to get selfish with it. If I'm around that person, they'll take my peace away. They don't have the ability to take your peace away. We just didn't cultivate enough that day. Keep giving it away. Keep putting it out. And people that you know, and you know they're having troubles, you tell them to put out some peace too. If they're complaining about the war, tell them, send peace. And they'll go, yeah, what good will that do? It'll do more good than just wishing them harm. So we're going to have our question and answer here. But before we do, some people are going to go. And I want to tell you that the word that we're meditating on for the month of August is the word friendship. Friendship. You can be friendship with the divine, right? Friendship. So the saboteur of friendship is betrayal. Don't focus on betrayal, but your thoughts will actually show you how it arises in yourself and in others. All right? So let's do 3 ohms together to unify our session together today. And please stay if you like. And if you're going to go on with your day, much peace to you. Peace be with you. Thank you for being here. Namaste.
Love you, Jackie.
Love you too.
Thank
Okay.
you, Jackie.
Love you. Is everybody staying? Are you guys here?
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank
I'm
you.
staying.
Does anybody have questions?
There was one question in the chat. It says, could you be a filter or like an air purifier when you breathe in and release peace, peace, peace? Or is that air now pure or at least more pure? It's in the chat.
Oh, sorry. I don't know where that is, but let me just say this. I think that's a great idea about being an air purifier. I love that idea. But but you see, you have to clean the purifier out too, right? Because if you don't, it gets all that dark stuff in there, just like a fan or whatever. So you have to keep remembering to clean yourself out. That's a beautiful visualization, by the way. You know, you could visualize yourself like if you're outside walking, you can visualize yourself as you're practicing peace, 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 peace. That as it comes in, it gets all washed clean and you're putting it back out there. You see how wonderful it is? Be creative. Visualize spirituality the way that you think, the way that appeals to you. Make spirituality your own. All the way that when it's taught traditionally, we want people to continue. We want, like, I learned to meditate from Tibetan monks. I don't want them to stop doing that. It's just that as an individual, I take what they gave me and I incorporate it with many other things. So I have my own way of doing it. And that's what I'm trying to say for you guys too. Take whatever we practice here, whatever you hear me say, but make it your own. Do you have a question? I see we're all very peaceful today, right? It's a very good thing. So when you do your meditation practice, you don't have to practice for an hour, because if you sit there for an hour, you're just going to be chasing your thoughts around, and that's really not what the purpose is. You know what even a better thing to do is to practice with meditation is service. Giving service to somebody. Maybe you have a dog that hasn't had his little burrs cut for a little while, so you want to practice meditation, practice doing that for him, cutting his little burrs and thinking to yourself, everything that I'm removing from you, I remove from myself. If you want to sweep your floor rather than sit in meditation, you can sweep the floor and really focus on with every sweep I do, I purify my mind. If you're washing the dishes, you ask for that joy, to be washed into you. Sometimes, my teacher always gave examples of that we're like bubbles, we're only here for a short period of time. So if I wash dishes, I remember him telling us that, and I see those bubbles pop, and I go, pop, 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 pop. Oh, there's other souls leaving and going to do something else. Pop, 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 pop. But whatever you're doing, because you can do these mundane things and think, I'm sweeping the floor. I have to sweep the floor. Nobody else is going to sweep it, and oh my God, right? Make that your meditation. When you want to cut, like maybe you're trimming your roses, there you can say, as I trim these back, help me to trim back my desires that aren't good for me. So you see, there's so many ways that you can practice meditation, because sometimes, because we live in the 21st century and the world is so loud and so fast, sometimes it's difficult to learn meditation and people feel like they can't do it. Because everybody says to me, I don't meditate because my mind moves so fast. Of course it does. Everybody's moves too fast. Don't ever think that you're the lone ranger with that. Everybody thinks too fast. And where are we going in those fast cars? We have no idea. We're driving these fast thoughts and they're going crazy in our mind and we don't even have a plan. Just driving way too fast. It's not helpful. We could crash. So slow down. It's hard, I know, to tell Americans to slow down because we feel insulted by that. Don't tell me to slow down. What are you talking about? I'm busy. I got to get things done. Okay. Let's don't use the word slow. Take your time. Do it correctly, efficiently. Going too fast is not efficient. Could hurt somebody, could hurt yourself. So be efficient. Take your time. Be efficient in relationships. If you feel like, I got to call them up right now and tell them how I feel. Okay, do you really? You really want to do that with that energy? Is that what you want to do? Probably not. Help yourself. Take yourself for a walk in that moment. You won't want to. You won't want to. But if you can get yourself out the door and leave your phone at home when you're feeling like that, leave your phone there. Take yourself out. Take yourself for a walk. And at first you're going to be like, I got to get back and talk to them. No. Help yourself to know, look, okay, I'm taking care of myself. After a few moments, you'll start to breathe. You'll start to feel a little bit better. There's going to be some new thoughts that come in. And then when you go back and you look at your phone, you may even say to yourself, I'm still not going to pick it up. But this time, you'll have self-control. You'll have self-control. You'll be making a conscious decision to not pick up the phone, not to send that text in that moment, right? That's what we have to do. We have to purify ourselves all the time, practice it every single day. So as you get older, you have that with you. You have that with you. You know, it doesn't matter if you're in your 20s or you're in your 60s, it doesn't matter where you are, and practice. If you say, well, I'm kind of too old to start practice now, you're going to live again and you're going to start your practice where you left off. That's what the Tibetans told me. In your next lifetime, with your spiritual practice, you will be born in a way where you are capable of picking up your spiritual practice where you left off. Nothing ever goes away. If I practice being a monster in this lifetime, in the next lifetime, I will start with my monstrous thoughts where I left off. Nothing goes away. Nothing goes away. But it changes. It changes. Nothing goes away, but it changes, because nothing stays the same either. Nothing goes away, but nothing stays the same. I'm a soul who has lived in many bodies. The bodies come and go, but the soul stays the same. And everything I experience in every lifetime imprints me, my soul. My soul itself, I say my soul, our souls are pure. They are. They really are. And that's what we're getting back to, is remembering that that's who we have always been. We come here and we think we're something, or we think we're nothing. We don't think of ourselves as being souls, but we are. We're souls. It makes us cosmic. It does. We travel through space. When we leave these bodies, we're still alive. We're still having experiences. We're still interacting with other people. We're in other dimensions having other experiences. And those experiences that we have there also come back with us for our next life. So the experiences that we have in our past lives, the experiences that we have in between lives, all of those have made who you are today. And will continue to. So we're always changing, but we're always the same at the same time. It's an interesting conundrum, right? It's something that's worth pondering. So every day I'm different than I was the day before, but I'm still me. I'm changing my recipe, but it's still me. And that's what we have to remember. You're not going to lose anything by purifying yourself, by becoming more spiritual. You'll just be stronger. You will. You'll be stronger. You'll be more merciful. You'll have the strength to be compassionate. When our minds are weak, we can't show compassion. We're just like, well, they shouldn't have done that. When you're strong, you can feel that pain. And all you can think of is to send them mercy. You see, your recipe changed. You're still you, but your recipe changed. And that's what a practice will do. It changes the recipe. Pardon me.
Jackie?
Yes.
Yeah. Am I interrupting you or
No,
ready for a question? Okay.
I am.
Okay. When you, I know you'll speak on this more next month, but when you said friendship is the word, the virtue for August, right away came to mind. Then I started to write enemy as the saboteur. So I know there's probably a fine distinction around
Betrayal.
betrayal and enemy that you may speak to more. But anyway, I just,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Friendship is, we really want to focus on friendship in the sense of any way that you like. You know, it can be buddy palsy wowsy. It could be friendship with your animals. It could be friendship with God. It could be whatever it is that you want it to be, but it's about being friends with yourself too, not an enemy to yourself, not betraying yourself. So when we feel that somebody betrays us, then we label them as the word enemy.
Yes.
So what makes a person an enemy to us is betrayal. That's why we have betrayal.
Okay.
Yeah, because we betray ourselves, and then once you do know that when we betray ourselves, when we feel betrayed by others, is because initially we betrayed ourselves somewhere along the line.
Yes.
You know, how you can sense it. You know that you shouldn't be in this situation, but you keep on going in it. You've betrayed yourself. If you get the feeling inside that you shouldn't be there, something's wrong here, you need to find a good exit in some way. But sometimes we stay. We betray ourselves in this way. And then we think others betrayed us, and they did, but we initiated the betrayal.
Today is actually National Friendship Day.
No way, really?
Yes.
I love that. Look at us go. Thank you, Ruby. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. No, I had no idea. See, we're just all in tune here, right? What a way to launch a month of friendship.
With all the friends.
Perfect.
Yeah, tell a friend. I love that. Tell a friend that today's Friendship Day, and call somebody up and tell them, I just love being friends with you. It's a wonderful thing. But having that friendship, so in Vedanta, they teach us to think of the concept of God in two ways. Where you think of the word God in the sense of like the, the universe, how magnificent it is, how like we can't even understand it, how grand, and oh my gosh, that everything has emanated out of the source. You know what I mean? Those deep thoughts that make your mind go, okay, whew, oh, that's too much, to think of God in this way, in this awesome way, and simultaneously thinking of God as your best friend. So that you can speak to yourself and talk to yourself, and you'll get an answer. And it's from the divine. The divine is always there, knows every thought you think, because this thing that we call God permeates everything. It's just that human beings are born thinking that we're unique in the universe, and that somehow or another that doesn't pertain to us. I don't know what that's all about. But it's a complete illusion. The thing that we call God permeates every atom in the entire universe. So we are part of the universe. We are not separate. We're just becoming self-aware, and it makes us feel separate. It gives us the feeling of being lonely. It makes us feel separate. It makes us feel lost. It makes us feel forgotten. And we have to remember that we're part of it, because we have amnesia.
And Jackie,
Yeah.
And many of the mystics actually refer to God as lover.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, and like the mystics, like Saint John of the Cross and Teresa de Avila. I mean, their writings are just so almost erotic. I mean, in
yes.
terms of lover, I mean, it just really brings that up
I
for
love
me.
that you, yeah, that's exactly right. So
Mhm.
Swami Vivekananda tells this story where he said that he was having this conversation with this young man, and this young man was telling Swami Vivekananda that he had this girlfriend
Mm.
and that their love was so sweet that all he could do is think about her and love her and be with her, and that she brings out the very best in him. And when Swami Vivekananda is telling this story, you can tell he's like intrigued by listening to this young man, because he can tell that this young man is speaking about God.
Mm.
And this young man said, we love each other so much that I know what she's thinking right now. I even know what she's wearing. And he went on to tell Swami Vivekananda. And of course, Swami Vivekananda has inner sight.
Mm.
And he knew that this young man was telling the truth.
Mm.
So his love for this woman was how he was learning to love God, because he loved the God in her. So, yes, right?
Yeah, it makes me cry. I mean, it just, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. You can project it onto anything and everything. If you can see it in one person, you will be forever changed. Yeah. So falling in love with the divine is very similar to falling in love with the human, but the divine will never go online and choose somebody else. Will never be abandoned. Will never ever be abandoned. But you see, the joy of the spiritual path can be as exciting and as passionate as the path of the lover with another person. I'm glad you brought that up, because it's true. When you read about the lives of the saints, they will talk, yes, about uh, the lover. Yogananda writes a lot about that. Paramahansa Yogananda, in his writings, he talks about the Divine Mother and being in love with her. Ramakrishna talks about his ecstasy, and he would actually go into ecstasy because of him. He would feel the Divine Mother so ecstatically that he was actually in ecstasy. And some of us have had this experience with a lover. The only difference is it's temporary with a physical lover, and it's permanent with the divine. And why deprive yourself of either? It's good to be in love, in the sense of to cultivate love and to bring passion to this very high level where it's actual ecstasy, because it's unforgettable. And it means that you will strive for that again, to feel that again. And it's true, we can actually feel that from being in love with God, having conversations with the divine, making him your best friend, or her, however you want to look at it, doesn't make any difference, you know. It makes no difference whatsoever. It's whatever will draw you to it. You know, we need to visualize, because that's how we are. We need to visualize like a form or some aspect or something that helps us to put our concentration on that. And then you learn to see that form in everyone and everything. And it makes us better people, because we are living in ecstasy. I only have moments of it. I'd like to live in it. So we stay on it. We stay on it and stay on it and stay on it until we live in it. And apparently, eventually, we all do. That's what being a human being means. We're far enough on along the path where we're actually learning to live in ecstasy. But one of the best ways to find that is through friendship. friendship with yourself, friendship with the divine, learning to experience it with other people, you know? When I sit with people, even though I'm just sitting with them for 1 hour, so much happens in that 1 hour that it bonds me with that person, even though we're not going to see each other in any other capacity. There's a bond that's there, and it makes me so excited when I see them again, because that bond is there, that sweetness is there, because you recognize another lover of God. Lovers recognize one another. You know other people who feel that way. You'll feel drawn to them. You'll feel that, they do it too. They're another lover. It's really good to be this way. That's why I call it magical, because it does feel magical. You know, it's even talking about it makes me feel light, makes me feel pure inside, you know, in this moment. Till I go outside and get on the freeway, then I have to go, okay, remember 5 minutes ago you were feeling pure. So you have the capacity to remain pure. I was telling myself, you have that capacity. Now let's see if you can do it. You know, then be there with you. Help yourself to be best friends with yourself. When you're best friends with yourself, you're best friends with God. You always want to treat yourself with dignity, because this is where God lives. So, you know, treat yourself with dignity, never in a disparaging way. And it'll help you not to do that with others. It'll help you to want to change the conversation to, yes, I see what you're saying, but here's the good part. And I know I annoy my family sometimes with that. But it's not dismissing that there's a hardship. It's elevating it so that we stay strong through the hardship. Because if you just get indulgent and, yeah, it's really bad and ugly, da, 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 you don't stay strong. So you just know that things can be really bad and ugly, but you refuse to be contaminated by it, because you got to get through it. And you can't get through it if you're completely contaminated, right? So that's what we really have to work on. So we have time for one more question.
No pressure though.
Okay, I have a question. I would like for you to ask yourself, how am I going to practice friendship this month? How am I going to do that? What's that all about? Be curious. Be curious. Make sure that if you really want to practice it, you want to make sure that you're saying the word every day. So you can, in your prayers, you can ask, kindly help me to find the place of friendship today. If you're at the grocery store and people are all anxious around you and you can feel them and you feel yourself starting to get anxious, remember, they too have God in them. So that makes them our friend. So it helps us to treat others more easily as friend if we remember that they too have our lover inside of them. It's so good to be with you. And I feel very grateful. I feel very grateful to be with all of you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Again, I just want to say to you, thank you. I'm grateful, and peace, peace, peace be with you today and until we meet again.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, to end it for Miss Jackie, bottom right will say end and then end meeting for all.
Okay, adios.
Adios.